This is For the King, and also the Rogues Gallery. So For the King is a roguelite RPG. It has a few different modes, different kinds of adventures, but For the King is the default. And we're going to be playing on Apprentice difficulty because this is a really hard game, so you need the easiest mode, or at least I do. We'll get into the differences between modes as we play, but first we got to pick a party. So characters are divided into roughly 4 types. There's strength, talent, intelligence, and awareness, and those kind of translate to warriors, bards / thieves, wizards, and rangers, I guess, for those familiar with classic D&D. But the party I like most is the hunter, blacksmith, and herbalist. Hunter is a range class. They have special abilities that let them do called shots that deal extra damage. Blacksmith has a steadfast ability, which occasionally blocks damage. And the herbalist has a very important ability, probably the best one in the whole game. It lets you heal your party with your standard healing items. I think we're good to go, so let's jump in. One thing to note is, even though this is a roguelite, the story is always the same. It's just that the map, the encounters, and the loot drops get all jumbled around. So our job is to find a wizard now that the king is dead. And to do that, our first step is to go to Woodsmoke. Our first step will always be to go to Woodsmoke. So this is a multiplayer game and a single player game. If you're playing multiplayer, everyone has control of one character. If you're playing single player, you control the whole party. We can talk a little bit about movement. As you can see, the grid is laid out in a bunch of hexes. Every time your turn starts, you roll for movement to see how far you can go. But before we go anywhere, it's always a good idea to go into town and find some quests. And quests offer 3 types of rewards mostly. They can reduce chaos, they can get you an item, or they can get you gold. And gold is really what you want to go for almost every time, because things start getting expensive later in the game. So this quest wants us to go over here and kill this guy who we can see is level 0. Same as us. So this is a pretty good start. So we're really going to ignore going up here, and we're going to do some questing first. It's always a good idea to level up at least once. So Tane, who is our hunter, we're going to send him down here. And this is one of the special locations in the game. This is a tribute statue, which we can use to get focus and experience. We'll talk about focus when we get into our first fight, probably. So nice day means we get a little extra movement, but we're going to hang out. Because sometimes when you're moving, you get ambushed. And you really want to have your characters stick together for the most part, as characters nearby can join in on battles. But if they're too far away and you get ambushed, you're in a one-on-one fight, which tend to go badly. Here's a random event. We got a pipesmith. This guy, he sells pipes. He also sells God's Beard, which is a plant and the game's healing item du jour. God's Beard is very important. Use it to replenish plus 15 HP, and depending on the pipe you have, you can replenish more. And it also gives you bonuses with other roots you pick up and plants. My advice is buy every God's Beard that you can. If you see it, you should buy it. Another thing about the herbalist that makes him the best character in the game is that he will randomly get herbs. Like right there, I just randomly picked up a God's Beard. Now, they're not all as useful as God's Beard, but they're generally pretty good investments. So here we have our first enemy. You can see the little hexes around that are highlighted. Those are anyone who will be dragged into battle. So right now, if I tried to pick a fight, it would just be Tane fighting, which is not a good look. So we're going to pass for now. And bring all our friends in here before we start this fight. Oh man, we're finding all kinds of stuff. This is a haunt. There are bosses here. The haunt is inactive right now. Eventually, our timeline will tick over to a day when it is active, and the boss will appear and some bad stuff is going to happen. Specifically, this one says players are haunted by spirits. So we'll get ghost encounters. And we don't want that, but we can't really fight the boss now because it's level 2, and we're way too weak to deal with that. So I mentioned timeline now is a good chance to talk about that. If you look at the top of the screen, you'll see that every time you end the whole party's turn, the timeline advances. And this little icon, Chaos, grows closer. Once Chaos comes to pass, it will make enemies stronger. Basically, they'll have more HP. So we want to try to be speedy about stuff. It's not that big of a concern, though, because there's plenty of ways to reduce chaos. But now that we're here, let's pick a fight with this bee. We could ambush him, which would mean that we only have to fight one, and that we have initiative in the fight. Although ambush is kind of finicky. Sometimes, like, only one of your characters gets initiative, and it's not worth it at all. So I generally just go with a straight-up fight. If you fail an ambush, they get initiative. But they got initiative anyway. Anyway, this is our combat. They all get to go first. And now we do. So here's how combat works. When you make an attack, you have a few different options depending on your weapon. For instance, I have a snipe shot, which can ignore armor, and a standard shot. And they all have a certain amount of accuracy. So when you attack, you have a certain number of slots, and these are rolls made in the background. The more of them that you hit, the more damage you do, and the less likely your attack will be dodged. So let's try a shot. I succeeded at all my rolls. I did full damage. That is occasionally called a perfect attack. So our mage, that weapon default, can speed people up and just standard attack. So let's try that. Oh, we're rolling hot. Let's finish out with the blacksmith. Good stuff. Interesting note about bees, they always drop this item, which gives you permanent +1 to resistance, which is your magic armor. So I'm going to feed that to Oyster, because he's our warrior. He doesn't have a lot of that. I'm going to feed a second one to him, too. And then I think he'll take a detour up toward the Sanctum. Sanctums are special areas that let you devote yourself to a god. They give you things like poison immunity or curse immunity. And they will also revive you if you die. So they're very handy. Always good to go out of your way if you find one. Much like in combat, movement works the same way. You roll dice in the background, and you get a certain number of success, and that's how many times you can move. Found a dead adventurer. Let's see what he's got. Hey, a tinder pouch. These are pretty rare. They'll let you set up camps, which you can heal yourself at. We'll probably use one eventually. And this guy is armor. Let's give it to the wizard for now. Don't want to pick a fight quite yet. Not until I got my squad over here. And we'll go again. So one of the bad things about bees is they can poison you. Your status effects are down here at the next to your character portrait. Poison does a small amount of damage to it end of turn. I'm having good luck today. Alright, so there's an example of a failure. And failures make it easier for enemies to dodge, but that is not the be-all, end-all of it. Sometimes an enemy can dodge a perfect attack. Sometimes you can dodge a perfect attack. Dodging is ruled off an evasion stat. And next time we're in combat, we can talk about where we can look at the stats. We're going to give our warrior some more magic resistance. Also, dodging needs to be taken out. It sucks. This is a night market. It will be active at night, as you might guess. So one of the things about apprentice mode, the easier mode, is that you get more experience from fights, chaos advances less quickly, and one of the important things is everyone starts with a God's Beard. So you can trade your items with other people in the square next to you. I'm going to give all my God's Beards to Celery Man, our herbalist. Another random merchant here, but all my characters are kind of broke right now, so I'm gonna leave him alone. Oyster is also gonna give his God's Beard to Celery Man. We might be able to pick a fight? Not quite yet. Alright, let's do this. So there's a bunch of numbers at the bottom of each character portrait. There's armor, which is how much physical damage you'll block. Resistance, which is how much magical damage. Evasion, notice that the hunter, Tane, has a lot of it. And then there's attack damage. And then all your base stats, like strength, vitality, intelligence, so on and so forth. So if you're ever curious about those, you can just look at the bottom of your character portrait. Anyway, we're going to start with this Timberwolf, I think. Enemies have a very shorthand version of this. They tell you their level, and they tell you anything special about them, any special abilities. Like, these guys are quest objectives. The Beastman Warrior has 2 enemy armor. So he's good against physical attacks. Although not good enough to worry about yet. Also, if you notice above Tane on the top right there, you can see that he has a sanctum. So that's a good way to remember if you will die or not when you are killed. And he also got his first level, which gives him a bit more damage and I think more evasion. We also got a book. And those are mage weapons. Looks like it's better than our current one, so let's throw it on. And some Scholar's Wort, which will give someone an XP bonus. I'm going to give it to Oyster, I think, which will let him level up as well. That poison on him will go away eventually. It takes a few turns. So let's head toward Woodsmoke, I think. As our man Hildebrandt says, we found a mini dungeon. I think I'm going to go in there. Interesting note about dungeons and ships also is that the world is segmented into areas, and the area we're in is the Guardian Forest. So as long as all my party members are in the Guardian Forest, no matter where they are, if someone goes to a dungeon, we can enter it together, which is kind of handy to move people around. Anyway, it looks like a short dungeon. There are 4 rooms, as you can see at the top. We're going to open this guy up and hope he's not a mimic. I'm not lucky today, never mind. So like all good RPGs, occasionally chests are just mimics. And they tend to eat your equipment. So this book has given me a few new abilities. One thing about spell books is that when you're trying to cast a spell, you have to hit every skill roll. So all these 3 have to be perfect, which is kind of hard to do. But you can use something called focus. So focus are these 3 or 4 golden orbs at the top of my character portrait, and they guarantee success. Normally you want to save them for special encounters, but because I want to show off protection spells, I'm going to pump myself up with some focus. And I'm going to protect... Let's protect Oyster. He's kind of weak right now. So now, if something hits Oyster, it will do no damage the first time. But yeah, generally you want to save focus for special trap rooms or special encounters on the map. You don't want to blow it in combat unless it's really important. Alright, looks like we got one more. Oh no. Oh man, he... Oh wait, no, that wasn't the important thing. Actually, yeah, it was. He ate my tinder pouch. My camp. Alright, that's pretty decent loot. I would prefer a weapon. This game is all about the gear. You can punch way above your level if you have the right gear. So these cup purses are going to steal all my money in just a moment. Oh, I guess they're being nice today. So that's the special ability of the Hunter. Called shots will ignore all armor. They happen at random, basically, usually when there's a perfect attack. Actually, I think almost always when it's a perfect attack. Unfortunately, usually the smartest thing you can do is just do a standard attack. I don't remember what refocus does, so I'm going to give it to Oyster. I think occasionally it just grants you extra focus, which is alright. I hate pixies. They do this. They protect enemies. It'll wear off eventually, but usually it's faster just to hit them and waste your turn. So this won't really do anything except drop his shield. Hopefully you won't down anyone on this turn. We should be able to wrap this one up. Nice hat. I think we're going to give that one to Tane. At this point, I'm considering whether I should heal everyone, and I think I will. So I talked about the Herbalist before. They have a party heal option. Normally, if someone used a God's Beard to heal, it would just heal them alone. Never mind, I'm not paying attention at all. We got to the end. This is a book of lore. Lore is a meta currency, and it's how you buy upgrades in this game. This game has a, let's say, a pool progression upgrade system. So after every run, you take your lore that you earn, and you can spend it at the lore store, which is where you can buy things like more weapons that you might randomly encounter, more random encounters, like the night market is not originally unlocked, but you buy it, and then it appears in the world. And you can also buy new character classes, and some cosmetic upgrades. I think I've got about maybe 1/3 of the lore stuff unlocked. Let's not pick that fight yet. Some of the weapons I've unlocked are really good. It's just a matter of actually finding them in the world. Also, my favorite thing about this game is the ragdolls. They're very good. There goes the herbalist finding some stuff. Alright, so our first quest is out of the way. Next we have to go to the glittering mines. But before we can do that, we solve this occult device and kill this guy down here. And also get a new quest. Let's see what items available. A short spear would be a decent weapon for Tane, our hunter. But I'm thinking I do love gold, so let's do that instead. We can see if they actually sell anything at the market instead. Like a heavy bow would be alright, I think. Heavy sword would be a good upgrade for our warrior. Yeah, we're going to pick up this heavy bow. Oh, and of course, God's Beard. I forgot. Ignoring my own advice here. We're also going to buy this heavy sword. I usually ignore armor for the most part, because we tend to get enough through drops. You can also use the services, which are inns, which will recover health, meditation, which recovers focus, healer removes ailments and curses. Oh, sorry, blessing removes curses, healer removes everything else. Let's take a nap here. We can afford it. Alright, so we got our first tick of chaos. More enemy health. Not a lot more. On harder modes, the health spikes up a bit more. We're a bit over leveled for this guy, but let's take him out real quick. Show off our new weapons. This looks like not really better than our current stuff, so we'll just collect it. We could discard it and get rid of it, but you can sell stuff. Not for a very good markup. But you can do it. Here is a cult device. Like I said, you want to save your focus for stuff like this. And when you solve a cult device, you can choose to reduce chaos. You can get life back. Life pool up here is used to revive characters when they die. So I could do it up to 6 times. Or you could send your Scourge back on the timeline. Scourge I talked about a little earlier. I believe the Bandit King is the one we found. Right now, really the only option is get rid of chaos, so let's do that. Sorry, the gallows is what I was talking about. So we're at a pretty good spot right now. We have decent equipment. We've leveled up to the level we need to be at for now, which is 1. Got a few God's Beards. Things are looking up. Decent amount of money, too. This question mark is a random event. Let's check it out, actually. I've never actually given this guy the money he asks for, and I don't have enough now. So sorry, buddy. Not a great move. I think we're not all in range. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait on this. So this guy's our first real boss. He's kind of a pushover. In harder modes, he has a third guy with him. But generally, they just set you on fire and then do standard attacks. Being on fire, as you might guess, does damage over time. It's kind of lame, but not a big deal. Got some more lore. Ooh. Nah, we don't really need this. Just collect it. So before, when I said chaos is easy to deal with, certain bosses that you fight throughout the game will automatically clear chaos, either 1 or 2. And generally, if you keep a good pace, you'll be able to hit those bosses before chaos gets too big. So now we have a quest to go to the Glittering Mines, our first real dungeon, and to deliver a death certificate to this poor adventuring family. And it looks like it's on the way, so we can probably do that pretty easy. Yeah, we're gonna wait on that. let's try show off an ambush. So normally I would get the cube and the rat. Because I ambushed him, I only have to fight one guy. It's not really economical in terms of getting XP. But it means I could kill this guy early, and he usually steals a bunch of gold from you. This is a loot. Those are for the class that we don't really have one of. They use the talent stat. So we're going to sell that sucker. Hey, tinder pouch. We'll use one of those eventually. Alright, let's pick a fight. This is the Jelly Cube. He is an original character. Please do not steal him. Usually it does an area attack poison, which is kind of annoying to deal with. Thankfully they're very slow, so as long as you target them first, you can usually take them out. Again, original character. Never seen before. This is a level 2 dungeon. We are not level 2. We're very close though, so I'm tempted to go in. Maybe we'll bust a ghost first. I don't have any focus here. I don't want to risk a 2% chance of death. So I'm not going to do that. What's the night market? Generally, the night market has stuff that'll permanently increase your stats. I don't really want to spend money right now, though. I'm also apparently bad at navigating the map because I sent one of my guys the completely wrong way. And it's a new day, so the ghost went away. Cool. Good planning on my part. Alright, I'm thinking for the sake of expediency, we're going to hit this dungeon. Probably won't die, probably level up on the way. But let's do it. So this is, I think, the second longest dungeon in the game at 2 floors. They're generally not pretty long. Let's see what our dead adventurer has. Money. Another crude club. This robe is pretty good for our mage, so we'll throw it on him. I hate pixies so much. Alright, take him out. Good enough. Oh, this enemy has the worst ability in the game. He is evasive, so he evades any non-perfect attack. Meaning that, because I missed one, I will never hit him. I worded that poorly, but if you miss one of your skill checks, you won't hit him. I hate them. mean, I was talking about how much I hated dodge earlier. And this is a pretty hot take, but they really got to take dodge out of this game. It is the worst feeling in the world when you make a roll and succeed on most of it, and the enemy just gets out of the way. Like, I'd be fine. That bullshit right there. I would be fine if I got hit every time here. But the fact that sometimes they can just get out of the way, even on a perfect attack. I hate it. It feels bad. It feels so bad. It hasn't really happened that often in this run, but I can assure you it happens way too often. Like, it is a thing. See? That's what I'm talking about. As soon as I start mentioning it, it's gonna start happening. This run is cursed. I told you. I told you. Anyway, that's my biggest complaint about For the King. Nobody should be able to dodge. Ever. But my other thoughts on this game, since we're about winding up, is I'm not a huge fan, really. I don't think it's a bad game, and I think I'm probably the minority opinion in this, but I feel like roguelite RPGs are too long, and they have to do something to really stand out for me to actually want to jump in and devote a lot of time to them again. And I feel like this game is fairly bland. Although I should say the main appeal is co-op play. If you have people to play this with, it's fine. It's fun. If you're playing solo, I don't feel like it has a really good hook. So let's use one of our tinder pouches to do a party rest here. That will heal everyone up and regain some focus. Probably not necessary, but I wanted to show it off. But yeah, if you want to play, or if you want a roguelite RPG, to me, it should really stand out. But I haven't played a lot of RPGs for this series. I've played, like, Renowned Explorers, and that's more of a board game / religious experience than anything else. So maybe this is just a genre, like, I'm not into. I don't know. It's not a badly made game. Just not my favorite. Let me shoot them bones. Didn't get them bones very good. These ghosts, by the way. This guy in the purple road, the Ghost of Claws. I believe these are Kickstarter backers. I've actually run into one that has more or less my name. Always wanted to be a ghost. I'm glad someone else paid for it for me. Alright, when you see a cube, always target the cube first. So that guy stunned me, which knocks me back in initiative. I didn't really talk about what different attacks these weapons have. Looks like this sword just has a more risky physical attack. Harder to hit, but big damage. This guy has an area attack, which are generally pretty bad. You kind of want to just use them for... Like, you want to do more damage if you can, so don't use area attacks. Although in this one instance, it might be useful to hit that guy who's protected and kill the jelly at the same time. So I'm going to not take my advice and do that. And this guy also has a risky attack that does big damage and something that ups evade. So sometimes it's worth hanging on to weapons that are not as big in damage just because they have useful attacks or useful skills. Like there's some books that provide a party-wide defense up, and I always grab those if I can. We're gonna give this to our buddy over here, Tane. And this gives you more focus, so I'll have Celery Man use it. And I'll give him some more armor too, why not? Hope it isn't a mimic. I don't know if there's a way to tell if something is a mimic or not. There may be. But if there is, I don't know it yet. Teleport scrolls let you move around the map easier. They're pretty useful. And now we come to the boss. I don't need big strategy here. Usually I take out the minions first before I go for the boss. Although our mage isn't going to be very useful against her because she has a pretty high magic resist, at least for this level of 6. So that'll soak up most of the damage from the mage, so we're going to have him target other stuff. Although we're looking pretty rough right now, so actually let's do a party heal. Alright, now we can focus on the big lady. And by focus, I mean fail all my rules. Alright. Let's burn some focus on this big attack here. Just save myself a little time. Permanent +1 to armor is going to go to the mage, I think. And a bone bow, which is about the same as my other bow. Slightly better extra stats. Let's grab that. And big armor goes to Oyster. So the last room in this dungeon is just the chaos generator. It's simply a matter of giving it an old smash. Boom, dungeon clear. So now we have a new objective to go to the Golden Plains. And we're only about 1/3 of the way through the game, so I think I'm going to call it here. I feel like that's a pretty good showing of what this game is about. I might make more videos. Maybe I'll do a stream of the last attempt. I do want to beat it at some point. I've gotten very close, but wiped it like the last encounter. But yeah, that's for the king. See you next time.